Well, we're talking today about the meeting yesterday between Paul Ryan and Donald Trump in Washington, among other GOP leaders, including Priebus, who runs the party. They met in Washington yesterday, and this morning, today, still no endorsement from Paul Ryan. Let's take a listen to what they both said, Donald Trump and Paul Ryan, after the meeting.
I was very encouraged with what I heard from Donald Trump today. This is going in a positive direction, and I think this is a first very encouraging meeting. But again, in 45 minutes, you don't litigate all of the processes and all the issues and the principles that we are talking about.
I think he's doing a good job. He's got not an easy job, and I don't mind going through a little bit of a slow process. It's a very big subject. I mean, we have a lot of things, and I think for the most part we agree on a lot of different items, and we're getting there.
Well, he's the RNC chairman, and he was in that room when they met one-on-one, and he is Reince Priebus. Reince is joining us right now. Reince, thanks so much for getting up with us.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Chairman, it's been well chronicled from inside and outside about where these two men differ. Where would you say is the one area in which you noticed, whether they told you personally or you noticed when they were interacting, that they have to make the most progress in order to see eye to eye?
Well, I don't, honestly, Brian, there wasn't a whole lot of animosity. There was no huge difference between
but there's issues.
They
were talking policy,
no,
right?
actually, yeah, and it was specific, too. I mean, this wasn't just some vague conversation about, you know, what do you think about the United States Constitution? I mean, it was a real specific conversation. And I can tell you the vast majority of every subject discussed, there was agreement. I think it was very personable. It was a gracious meeting. There was good spirit in the room. And I think you know, I think we're going to get there. One thing I can tell you is that I don't think either Paul Ryan or Donald Trump left the room without feeling great about the meeting, but even better than they thought they were going to feel when they walked in. So I see this as extremely positive moving forward.
Well, last week there was some question whether or not Paul Ryan should continue to be the co-chair of the RNC convention this summer. At the end of the meeting, I understand that it was a done deal. He's going to be the co-chair, right?
Well, listen, that's up to delegates on the floor. It's up to a lot of folks that are involved, and I think that that's the case, but I really don't want to get in the middle of that, guys.
Really?
But I would just tell you this. The meeting was a great meeting, and the two of them agreed on far more than they disagreed on, and there was no feeling that Paul wouldn't be the chair of the convention.
Well, if he's going to be the chair, though, Chairman, he's going to have to endorse him, because he can't be the chair and say, and the guy we're throwing the party for, I'm not really behind him. He can't do that.
That would be a little awkward. There's no question about that. But again, I just want to remind you, this is the party's convention, though. This is not the candidate's convention. I mean, and it's the same thing that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is dealing with Bernie Sanders. I mean, Bernie Sanders thinks that he gets to run the party's convention. It's not his. It's a convention that promotes the candidate, no question about it. But the party is involved in the process, and so. I'm just saying, I think that that's an element to this that everyone has to keep in mind. Listen, Paul wants to get there. It was a great meeting. I feel very confident that we're going to be a unified party moving into Cleveland.
Right. What's going on within the party? You have people like Mitt Romney that are talking about floating the idea of bringing in a third party. First of all, is it too late for that? And what's going on within the party? Why is he doing this?
Well, you know, look, I think it's a little too far, obviously, and I think it'll destroy not just the majority in the Senate, but also the House, and it'll freeze money, and you know, it'll put generations of liberal justices on the Supreme Court. I think it's really ridiculous to even talk about a third party, given the future in our
Chairman,
country.
they are. There's a small group that includes Bill Kristol, possibly Mitt Romney, Tom Coburn, Ben Sasse, that are gathering donors, and they're beginning to get some momentum about a third party. So this is not something you can just observe. Will you go out of your way to stop it?
Well, first of all, they're sort of going to just step on themselves. I mean, it's already becoming far too late to get on the ballot. I mean, if they could try to hijack some other third party and place a name, but you know, I think it's destructive,
Well,
and I
the
think
rules don't
people
allow
around
him
the
to do
country
it.
should call it out.
The rules don't allow him to do it,
I mean,
right? I was reading
that's
about
right.
the Commission on Presidential Debate says the candidate has to poll at 15% in 5 national polls to even get on a debate stage. So that's impossible.
No, that's right. But I mean, think about it. That's right, but it could be very destructive. I mean, even if you don't get on a debate stage, but you can pull 1 or 2% easily. I mean, you can't pull 1% in Florida or 2% in Florida and expect to win. So it's very destructive behavior. It's very ungracious, and I think it's also, you know, look, you have to respect the voters, you know, and the delegates, and the delegates make the decision based on obviously votes in states, but also on the floor in Cleveland, and we have to respect that outcome.
Well, Reince, I got some bad news. You're going to have this big party in the summer, the convention, but according to George Clooney, your guy's not going to win. Listen to George.
There's not going to be a President Donald Trump. Fear is not going to be something that we're going to, that's going to be what drives our country. We're not going to be scared of Muslims or immigrants or, you know, women. We're not actually afraid of anything. Trump is actually a result in many ways of the fact that much of the news programs didn't follow up and ask tough questions. You know, the ratings go up because they can show up empty podiums saying Donald Trump is about to speak.
Okay, so there you've got kind of the chairman of the Hollywood primary. But, of course, he is a Hillary Rodham Clinton supporter, has had fundraisers at his house for her.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was him or one of the Baldwin brothers, but I think he said he was going to move to Canada the last time a Republican won the White House, and he's still living in California. Yeah, you know what, look, he can say all he wants about tough questions, but I don't think anyone can say that Donald Trump hasn't availed himself to more media interviews than any candidate I can remember.
Ever.
And the other thing about him is that the playbook is out the window. I mean, how many times through the course of the last year have people thought, oh, this is it, or, you know, this is the problem, or, you know, the tax issue? Well, you know what? I don't think the traditional rules have applied very well to Donald Trump. And so I think that sort of thinking is out the window, and I think, as Speaker Boehner said yesterday, you know, if you don't think Donald Trump is going to win, just watch.
Well, no one, I think that most people should admit they don't know. But he'll be the first candidate since 1976 not to release his tax returns. With you as the chairman of the party, encourage him to do so?
Well, I think he's sort of backed off of that. But secondly, like I just said, I mean, number one, I don't know what the rules are for audits. But number two, if he doesn't release his tax returns, I don't know if anyone cares or if it's going to have any effect, because it certainly, all of these other decisions that he's made have only helped him.
Sure. Well, we went out on the street yesterday, and 2 of the 3 people we talked to live on the air didn't really care about it.
That's enough.
Yeah. Reince, thank you very much for joining us live today.
All right. Thank you, guys.
You've had a heck of a week, haven't you?
You've had a heck of a a year.
Go get some sleep. Have a great weekend.